Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yeah. Chapter 1. I used to wake up on the mornings and think, okay, good morning. It's another big old regular day. I didn't expect anything special. Just the normal this, normal that. But ever since this is Saturday, I wake up not so sure. This was a couple of weeks ago. And that is not normal enough. The three and the baby twins. Right, and Queen. Oh, awake, but like always, they were eating breakfast by the time the big three, me and my twin brother, Jack, and Jenna, showed up in the kitchen. We and Quinn were in their high chairs with baby oatmeal. They ate cakes at the table and sang herself a little song. Eat your food. Don't be rude. Pepper in the daytime. Sugar in the time, in sugar in the night. I think those were the words. You couldn't quite hear because Mrs. Davis, the lady who helps Mom on Saturdays, had a vacuum cleaner going full blast in the hole. Also, he was banging on his tray. Going! Yeah, 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 yeah. I robbed oatmeal between his hands, concentrating like a scientist making a discovery. I was at myself making regular grown-up oatmeal for the big three. Her apron was tied in a messy bow at the back that wiggled while she stirred. She also sang a song, which she also couldn't quite hear. I ate my oatmeal fast because the vacuum cleaner and the yes on top of two people singing was pretty annoying. Pretty annoying. Plus, I wanted to get to the toy house. That built the toy house for me and Jack a few Christmases ago. It wasn't really a house. Just a bunch of shelves with a pointed piece of wood across the top that looked like a roof. It was like a roof. It was all painted red with toy house, written on the roof in fancy white letters. It looked beautiful on Christmas morning, all red, white and shiny. It looks like a giant piece of candy. Jack said, "This is where your toys will live, will live, will live." They said when I untied the big bow, it put around it to make it look like a giant present. And present. Now the toy house is pretty messy and tired. It's in the room, Asha. Second, it's so full of our yo-yos and the jacks and dolls and everything. Sometimes, in my mind, I hear it groaning. Stuff it has told all the time. Ah! Say when I put the crayon pot back. Ah! It'll say when I take the heavy doll box off the second shelf. Most Saturdays, Jack sets up his soldiers and starts making the walls all over the floor. Paco. While I get down my doll box and pull out my three favorites. That got me in about is one. She's carved from a single piece of wood and has a stiff blue apron and a face like a strict teacher. Then there's that Russian doll. She's fancier. She has a flowery dress and a head like an upside down cereal ball. I call her Rapunzel, the Russian. But my most favorite is Anne. She's the doll version of a real life queen who got her head chopped off by a cupid king. This doll's the fanciest. Oh, of course! And the most beautiful. Because she's a queen. She has this blue silk dress with fur trim around the top, which looks like it might be itchy. I feel sorry for her because she's headed for that and... Oh! I shouldn't say headed, should I? We need to take care of her. When the underpartisan, I showed them how to give her tea and read to her and everything. Her life is going to be short. So we have to make sure it's happy. And Jack usually move on to Candyland when we get tired of the dolls and soldiers. This is a game for babies, but we don't care. We love Candyland. We place our pieces over on the board, and on candy canes, and gumdrops, and chocolate kisses until we can stand it. Any more? Jack yells, candy craving, and we run downstairs and out the door. Charge! We jump on our bikes and ride fast up the block to Choice Variety. That's the best store in Munetka for candy. They also sell stuff like berries and plastic flowers, but who cares? I get lemon drops and red hots, and Jack likes Mars bars. We eat it all before. I'm so don't know about it. She says sugar makes us nutty. Not to mention what's our teeth. Also, in the toy house is a cooking pot all full of crayons that weighs about a ton. Mom usually buys us a fresh box of crayons when school starts in the fall. I love the way they look that first day, all lined up in rainbow order. And white to pink to violet, and then. My favorite color is wild blue yonder. That usually gets short of foot because I use foot for skies. Which are big. Colors like neon carrot, asparagus, and the eggplant as last a long time. We don't like them much. They're too vegetable. But after a couple of months, all the crayons start to get peely and short, and even Jenna stops putting them in order. Then they get left on the floor and squeezed and broken. Finally, Mom just tosses them all in the pot where was last year's crayons, so it can take half an hour to find the mango tinker or where whatever. Anyway, on Stitch's Saturday, I think it was the crayon pot that did it. Chapter 2. What happened was, after breakfast, we and Jack were playing dolls and the soldiers, normal case as can be. Then Jenna came bringing in. She never knocks or asks if she can come in. Or asks if she coming. She just barges. She got down out of plastic animals. Ah! Said the toy house. Since her birthday in March, Jenna's been saying she's too grown up to play now. Excuse me, she's only 10, okay? And we're 8. So when she looks like she's playing, she says, well, she's really not. She's sorting. I don't know why she has to sort our toys instead of hers. She has her own toy house in her room and is loaded. She dumped the animals on the floor and started putting them in groups. Lions here, bears there. Then she put them in lines. Lion, bear, tiger, giraffe. Finally, she had them in a big triangle. When Jenna got to the elephant row, she started to bump into my dolls, who were trying to have tea. Could you please move? She said. Look at her room and her toys. Not mine. The Tian said. Oh, Buzzy. Neanderthals talk to each other, to our minds, not out loud. This comes in handy because we can say whatever we want and not get in trouble. Yep, she's a Buzzy cow. Rapunzel, the Russian agreed. Moo! What Jenna didn't notice, but I did, was that Jack was very quietly sending his soldiers in her direction. Slowly, one by one. Oh, okay, Jen, no problem. I scooted my dogs out of the way, and I knew what was coming. Charge! Paco, it was war. Goodbye, Mr. Bear. With the soldier in his hand, Jack whacked the bears across the room. Your history, Mr. Lion. Paco, lion's fine. You should have stayed at the zoo. Mr. Elephant. Paco, the animal was only fast. Was over really fast. Guess who won? Jenna jumped up and stamped her foot, squishing a blue camel. Jack! You are the biggest dog in the entire universe, she yelled and burst out down the hall. Jack did a cannibal dance, like he always does when he's made Jenna barge out. We are the cannibals. Bump! Bump! We are the cannibals. Bump! Bump! I got up and did it with him. You bump your butts together on the bump part. But I felt a tiny bit sorry for Jenna. Jack never did stuff like that to me. Jester, do you know what time it is? Jack asked me. He sounded like a TV announcer. No. What time is it? I actually didn't know. He always asked this when it was time for Candyland. Do you know what time it is? Jack asked me louder. Yes! You were supposed to say no. Jack reminded me. Okay. No. I just wanted to get to the game already. It's time for the Jack blew a pretend trumpet. Candyland! It was hard to reach on the top shelf, but Jack was one, naughty, and two, he couldn't wait for Mom to help. He decided to Spider-Man up the toy house and get the game himself. He started coming. Right foot on the first shelf, hands on the third. Up! Left foot on the second shelf, hands on the roof. Up! The toy house wiggled and got tippy. Whoa! Jack held on tight. The toy house groaned. Then toys started to fall. First it was just the little stuff. The china, and the harmonica. Yikes! Jack stepped down the shelf. Then came the big stuff, and the plastic fruit. The toy house leaned forward. Candyland fell. Then Checkers. Then Harry Potter, the first one. I jumped up. My fingernail painting cut. 3 lemony sneakered box. Bobby's pink bed. Dick jumped down. We put up our hands to try and stop. But the toy house kept tipping and big stuff kept coming. Faster and faster. Harry Potter! The second one. Jump rope. Marty said. 4 Barbie dolls and 1 Ken. A Bigfoot. Dictionary. Jack's fake cash. Register. The broken Nintendo Marvel collection. And then just as we jumped out of the way. The whole house came down. Timber! Jack yelled like they do on TV when a tree falls in the forest. Crash! The curtains puffed from the blizzard, made when it fell. Almost rolled like crazy. Bumping into soldiers and crayons. A football tables at the door, and my Jack both followed it like a little friend. Awesome! Jack shouted. I stood still, frozen. I could hear my heart beat really hard, like a drum inside. Then I remembered that someone somewhere between the crash of the tea set and the cash register, something had bumped me on the top of the head. I'm not sure what, but maybe the crayon pot. I remember this because now it hurt like crazy. I touched the spot really carefully. It was all sore and swollen, and it was wet. So I brought my hand down and looked. It was bloody. I stopped breathing for a minute. I feel that Monopoly dollars floated down like snowflakes as I plopped under to the floor. Chapter 3. Before the last Monopoly dollar hit the floor. Mom was there. Her eyes went from Jack to the mess to me. She knelt down beside me so fast. Her skirt went poof. Uh-oh. Cleo, she said, looking at the place on top of my head. Poof! Mom left for 1 second and came back with a wet washcloth. It was the new with a lamp on it. It felt cool when she gently put it on my head. When she took it away, the poor lamp was still stained red, like it had been in Jack's annual war. That's when I really knew that this day had switched over from normal to not so normal. I think not so normal is fine. By the way, unless there's blood, then it's so not fine. I had that heavy shoes on the stairs. I didn't look at the mess when he came in. Just zoomed right over to me. It's going to be okay? Yep, it is, he said. I sort of hate it when parents say that. Say, that! You know, they're just trying to make you feel better. Which makes you think that the thing you need to feel better about is worse than you'd hoped it was. But I liked it when that lifted me. Like I was said, like I stuff. He said. He startled me in the backseat of a green station wagon. If he does it, that's the way that buckled me in. Mom went to tell Mrs. Davis what to do about the other kids while we went to the doctor. She brought me a sweater, and I remembered I wasn't dressed For some reason, this was the thing that finally made me cry. Don't worry, baby, Mom said. The doctors used to kids showing up in their pajamas when they have to get there in a hurry. I was so glad I was wearing my favorite nightgown, the pink one with the roses, but I still kept crying. As the car pulled away, I saw Jack peeking out the window. I just knew he was feeling really bad. I was his twin, so I just knew that he was driving a little faster than usual. He had to that look on his face he gets when he's reading the newspapers or fixing something that's broken. I wanted to stop crying before we got to the doctor's office. I talked to the dolls on my fake cell phone to calm myself down. You end up I need to care of and today. I thought Rapunzel, make sure to put some milk in her tea, and if you brush her hair, it makes her relax. I just slow down. Chapter 4. We have 2 doctors at the office where we go. Doctor is sunny, skinny and nice. Doctor is funny and round. He always makes that joke about our last name. Ah, here comes the not so small family. Assemberg. Was on my duty on Stitches Saturday. I was glad because I wasn't in the mood for jokes. Well, if it isn't my old pal Chicken. Voice was so soft. His glasses were so thick in the glass pot that you couldn't exactly tell what his eyes looked like. He smelled like he had just eaten a tuna sandwich. Aha! He said when he inspected me. I almost was going to cry again, but I held my breath and the tears went away. The milk spoke quickly to Mom and Dad, but with this kind of jumps out no matter how softly you say it. It's that kind of word. Back in the car, Mom sat with me, my head on her lap. You've got a bad cut. Honey, you need some stitches. My tears started to come back. Will hurt. It felt like the tears were waiting to hear the answer. But not a lot. That's it. The doctor says you had this tough stuff. The tears decided to go away for now. I only knew 2 people with stitches. Besides, Paris and the soldiers. One was Michael, the kid at school who was always falling off swings and trees and things. The other one was Cecil, the mailman who cut his hand on the carving knife at Thanksgiving. Even Jack hadn't had stitches yet. I was getting stitches. It made me feel like a different kind of person than I thought I was. Plus, it made me really nervous. Chapter 5. We had to go to the big hospital, which I knew about because my mother went there to have babies. She's had 6, so she'd been there a lot. On the way, we made up a little song, like she always does in tricky situations. A baseball player hits the ball, no matter what the pitch is. Let's hope the ball does not hit him. Or he'll end up with stitches. We met a nurse who wore a striped outfit, like a peppermint in Candyland. Well, until the cut this little thing, she said. I did love your nightie. The peppermint nurse had really thick white shoes that squeezed when she walked. She was even a faster walker than my dad, who walks twice as fast as me. So I felt like we were sort of racing down the long hallways. Mom's got woofed around the corners as she tried to keep up. Finally, we stopped in a little white room was speak less, and the doctor I didn't know smiled at me in a way that made me let go of that and smiled back. Well, what have we here? Hello? Is it Small? Miss Small? I'm Dr. Steve. Steve. He patted the bed. He patted the bed. I lay down in the peppermint nurse put I sit up under my chin. It was so white. It was like the winter white crayon in September. The doctor's hands felt warm and heavy when he patted my hair. The nurse sprayed something called on a cut. Okay, here we go. This shouldn't hurt much, but you can just scream if it does. Dr. Steve's dead. I held Mom's hand tight. I squeezed my eyes shut. The tears were back, waiting to see how much it hurt. It didn't. Not a lot. Anyway. That's little. Not like getting a shot. I breathed a big breath in and out. When Dr. Steve stitched, I thought about the swimming kit and Minnie gave me. I sewed a strawberry-shaped cushion. I remembered the big needle going in and out of the pocket of fabric. Mom saying, I had a little friend who liked to ride around the woods witches. So she fell off a broom one day and had to go get stitches. Dr. Steve laughed. I knew a little cowboy once who rode a horse in breeches. So one day that cute pony balked. The cowboy got some stitches. The peppermint nurse patted my arm. It was over. Okay, miss, good as new. Dr. Steve helped me sit up. Well, I have a scar. Oh my. Oh my. Yes. 9 stitches. You have a beauty. But your hair will cover it. To be your little secret. I was now official. A person with stitches. 9 of them. I was going to have a scar. The parrot has. Oh, Michael. Well, he has about 4 of them. I felt my tears go way away. Okay, princess, your carriage awaits. Dad opened his arms to carry me back to the car. That's okay. That's okay. Dad! I walk. I said, for once, he walked only medium fast, so I kept up. When you go biking, wear a helmet, even if it itches, or else if you follow your bike. Well, yikes! You might need stitches. Chapter 6. Coming home felt like when we come back from our summer vacation. In the mountains, everything seemed really really familiar, but kind of new at the same time. I went upstairs right away to check on poor Anne and Rapunzel and the they were all confused, lying in a pile where I'd left them. Next to the lamp was close. Oh, you've had a rough day. You need a little rest. I told the dolls. First, I folded over the washcloth so we wouldn't have to see the bloody spot. Then I put them in my bed and then put a sheet up under their chins, like a peppermint nurse would do. The mess in my room looked smaller than I remembered, but it was pretty big. Don't you worry, honey. That's it. Your brother and I will handle this. Jack helped. That put the toy house back up. Nobody had ever really gotten mad at Jack for tipping it over because they were so busy taking me to get stitches. But he was quiet and did what he was told, which was not the usual Jack. Trust me. Then I sorted the Monopoly pieces and then moved on to Candyland. I picked up crayons. The wild blue yonder was under the bed, and I found electric lime in the hole. But they told me I should take it easy. So I got in bed with the dolls and they just watched the mess disappear. I think we should have a party to celebrate this Saturday, Mom said. Can wear the princess dress. That was my custom from last Halloween. I put on my tiara too, but very carefully. Mom put the clothes on the kitchen table and mixed up some lemonade. She made pink frosting and spread it on graham crackers. Jenna gave me a fan she'd gotten at our neighbor Emma's tenth birthday party. It was red with the Japanese house and some birds painted on it. You can borrow this for today. Since you got stitches, just be gentle because it's made out of paper. Jenna could be nice sometimes. Right about then, Jack buzzed in the door. Did you miss me? He'd gone to Charlie's already to get me some lemon drops. Plus a Mars bar that I could see picking out of his pocket. Things were back to normal. The twins were in their high chairs. I was exploring the pink frosting, and the queen was banging. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sing a little song. She licked a cracker. The cuckoo, but it's cuckoo. And I am cuckoo too. Are you? I made more frosting, but this time, and that with the newspaper, me and Jack did the cannibal dance. We are the cannibals. Bump, bump. We are the cannibals. Bump, bump. Hey, come on, Dan. Hey, 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 hey. Come on, Dan. Jack called. It was definitely not normal for him to invite Jenna to join us, but it made her happy. Yeah. Okay, she said and bumped Jack's butt with hers. You should be careful, but so you don't pop your stitches, she told me. Then I'll let the dolls stay in bed with me. You were very brave today, Cleo. Yes, you were. That's it when he and Mom came in to say goodnight. Just another small disaster. Ha! Dad always says this when something bad happens in our family. After things are back to normal, Dad so lightly, kissed the bandage on my head. Good night and good dreams. Mom hugged me for a long time until I felt all warm and droopy. She whispered, "Your story is kinda gory, but it has a moral, which is we were our day that's our normal. It might and then stitches." Me and the dolls laughed after Mom and Dad went to bed. We talked for a while. I told them the whole story of the day about the peppermint nurse and doctor, and everything. Wow! What a day, said Rapunzel. What do you think will happen tomorrow? I said for a minute. Maybe I'll get a letter from the president of the United States. Maybe you'll find a shank in the backyard. The Appalachian said, almost. Oh, you get a new dress, a lacy pink one, and whispered, all excited. Or maybe it'll just be a regular holiday. I said, yawning, probably. The dogs agreed. Then they were quiet and, one by one, they went to sleep. Probably tomorrow will be just a normal day. I was thinking when my eyes closed, but after stitches Saturday, I went to sleep not so sure.